Germany invented some of the most destructive weapons on Earth. Giant guns, high-tech rockets, advanced jet fighters. One of Adolf Hitler's most top-secret bombs, the Fritz X, grandfather of the modern smart bomb, still shrouded by one of the last great mysteries of World War II. Could the Nazi bomb have changed the outcome of the war? Now, a German-American team of aviation experts resurrects the Third Reich's most destructive weapon. The crew undertakes a daring experiment far out in the Californian desert, dropping 2 replicas of the Nazi precision bomb.
Watch the Fritz X, because we are definitely in a danger zone here.
To unlock the mystery of Hitler's secret weapon.
Release. Gone. I felt a kill.
The Harz Mountains in Germany, a location infamous to US soldiers as a place of brutal battles in 1945. Here, in a small castle, lives an experienced model maker of World War II weaponry. None of his neighbors know about the secret projects he's working on. Nazi aircraft and weaponry as full-scale models. The mastermind behind these replica prototypes is Holger Bull, the son of a World War II German Air Force pilot. He reconstructed these replica suicide aircraft from blueprints drawn by Nazi engineers, hidden in archives for decades. One top-secret Nazi weapon puzzles Bull the most. The Fritz X, an early precision bomb that entered combat in 1943. Prototype testing revealed that the success rate with this radio-guided bomb was over 80 times higher than with conventional free-falling bombs of the time. Its first missions brought death and destruction in the Mediterranean. When the alliance with Italy broke up, Adolf Hitler ordered the bombing of the Italian fleet, including one of their biggest battleships, the Roma. It was September 9, 1943, as the Fritz X came down on the pride of the Italian Navy. The battleship sank after 2 direct hits within 35 minutes, leaving over 1,400 sailors dead. 2 days later, the Germans targeted the cruiser USS Savannah that was supporting US landings in southern Italy. Again, the Fritz X hit its target, but this time something went wrong.
The Fritz X actually came down and penetrated the roof of the number 3 gun turret and actually glanced off the breech of the center gun of that turret and continued down through the handling spaces and actually exploded in the magazine as it exited the bottom of the warship, which was actually a very lucky thing for Savannah, because had it been contained within the magazine and the magazine completely detonated, this definitely would have broken the ship in half.
The Nazis report that the warship, struck by aerial explosive, went to the bottom. But here, Navy pictures show the Savannah afloat.
In every documented case, the destructive power of the Fritz X proved so strong that it would completely rip through any battleship it hit. It would never explode while still inside the ship, but on exiting or in the water. So the debate continues. Was the bomb technically imperfect, or did Hitler's engineers design a superweapon that only failed by being too good for its time? The Fritz X mystery. Now, over 60 years later, Holger Bull embarks on a daring living history experiment, reconstructing the Nazi smart bomb and dropping it in a remote desert area. The model maker wants to test the replica's ballistics and its destructive power. This will be a first for him.
This, of course, is some kind of Wunderwaffen system also, you know, really fascinates me, and it's a goal for me to get it into the air, to make it airborne.
Wartime photos and sketches provide important clues on the bomb's shape. A new day in the Harz Mountains. In his castle in Germany, model maker Holger Bull seeks to unlock the mystery of the Nazi bomb Fritz X. In one of his workshops, he and his assistant Bernd start assembling the Fritz bomb. They are 2 of very few people in the world producing full-scale models of World War II technology. They first replicate the aerodynamics of the main bomb body as close as possible to the original. The original Fritz warhead carried over 600 pounds of explosives, but the model makers soon face one big challenge.
For me, to produce the outlining, to produce the physical body of the Fritz X, the fuselage, the cross-shaped wings and all that stuff is not the big problem. But the problem is for me at the moment the electronic, which is completely undiscovered.
Unraveling the electronics the Nazis used inside the Fritz X, Bull is searching collections in the US to find a captured original
Bull
Fritz
speaking.
X.
Is there a PMI museum, Tucson, Arizona? Yes, I said Bull speaking. You are owning a Fritz X. Can
Model
I see
maker's
it? Could
luck.
I actually
There
make
is
a photo
one
of
in Arizona.
Work on it? Wonderful.
It is time for the team to leave for Arizona to meet up with American model makers and aviation experts. Back in Nazi Germany, the Fritz X was not alone. Dozens of secret weapons were designed for the destructive fantasies of one man, Adolf Hitler. Hitler urged his engineers to construct a huge arsenal of unrivaled weapons that would bring final victory to Germany. When the Berlin Wall came down, Nazi files hidden for decades in the former East Germany were discovered. They revealed for the first time Adolf Hitler's plan for a disastrous strike against the continental US. Until then, no aircraft in the world could cross the Atlantic without a stopover to refuel. But Hitler wanted to revolutionize long-range aviation with a project dubbed the America Bomber.
The general plan from the Germans was to start here in northern France, to fly 4,000 miles to New York, to bomb New York, and then to fly back to France.
Hitler's high hopes rested on the Messerschmitt 264, a 4-engine bomber designed to carry a 6.5-ton bomb load.
It was not really a realistic plan, it was just a war game in the year 42, and the only person who was really interested to put this forward was Hitler.
The dictator became more and more obsessed with the project as 3 Messerschmitt 264 prototypes were built. In a top-secret war game from April 1942, the German Air Force targeted dozens of factories along the eastern coast of the US. By July 1944, Allied air raids had destroyed all the Messerschmitt's prototypes. But unable to see his downfall, Hitler until 1945 still dreamt of suicide missions that would destroy the skyscrapers of Manhattan, leaving them in flames. Today, in Tucson, Arizona, the Fritz X experiment continues. Model maker Holger Bull has arrived from Germany to meet up with reconstruction experts from the US at the Pima Air Museum.
Nice to meet you here. Holger?
John Marchand, Director of Collections here at the museum.
The Pima Museum is the second largest aviation museum in the country. And in the World War II exhibit, it holds a rare treasure. An original Fritz X, once captured by the US Army. Unfortunately, after the war, the electronics have been ripped out. Still, the exhibit provides Bull with data for his replica.
You know, having had only plans in Germany and made a couple of photographs, you know, I realized this thing will give us really the final push.
Joining Holger Bull's crew is Steve Wiper, a naval historian and himself an experienced model maker of World War II weaponry.
This is their recently restored B-36 Peacemaker. This was the largest aircraft. I mean, it is gigantic.
The US response to Hitler's America Bomber. The Peacemaker was conceived in 1941 for long-range flights from the US to Germany. While no longer any need for such missions existed towards the end of war, the American engineers won this part of the technology race against the Nazis. The maximum range far surpassed that of the German rival. Work on the Fritz X continues in a special reconstruction hangar at the Pima Museum. outer skin of the Fritz X, plywood is used, which is flexible but high in strength and capable of resisting enormous air pressure. The team has less than 2 weeks before the test drop of the bomb replica is scheduled to take place. At the same time, at Chino Airport in California, to drop the expedition team's replica Fritz X, preparations are being made to use an original World War II bomber, a B-25 Mitchell. In the meantime, the model-making team is working day and night to meet the deadline. During Hitler's Third Reich, the precision bomb was one of several secret weapons programs that were technologically advanced for the time. The first Nazi superweapons were to be deployed against the French Maginot Line, a vast defensive system of concrete fortifications, tank obstacles, and artillery casemates along the border with Germany. To break through the deep fortifications, Hitler's engineers designed the largest artillery ever used in battle. The guns, named Dora and Gustav, were positioned on special railway carriers weighing a total of 1,300 tons. It took 2,000 men and specially built trains nearly 6 weeks to assemble, load and move the heavy guns. The railway guns could be fired at distances up to 23 miles. And its shells alone weighed more than 7 tons.
The artillery pieces, the Dora and Gustav, were enormous. They're meant to bring down city walls and defenses, but they're also a psychological weapon because of the random nature of when it's coming. There's very little warning. I mean, probably a few seconds before impact, you might have felt heard a rush of wind or a whistle, and then, complete annihilation. I mean, these explosions were taking out city blocks at a time.
As the Nazis had managed to circumvent the French Maginot Line, the Dora was first deployed in Russia to siege the fortifications of Sevastopol in June 1942. After 48 rounds of the Dora gun, the city resembled a crater landscape on the moon. The success led Hitler to order still more destructive weapons. A top-secret Nazi film captured by US intelligence at the end of the war. In the US National Archives, historian Steve Wiper has discovered the key to understanding the inner workings of Adolf Hitler's precision bomb Fritz X. The film also reveals how the German bombardiers were trained.
I believe this is a training device for the bombardier.
Yes, most probably.
The training device consisted of a bridge with a synthetic control system placed over the conveyor belt. In this synthetic training, the observer keeps the crosshairs of the bomb sight on the target by use of the control stick.
So here you see how much they were able to control the...
Yeah, it's interesting how they can actually steer it back down and almost upside down and back into the target.
Yes.
The film reveals key pieces of the bomb's control system. Shortwave receiver installed in the tail section, and in the rear, an electric gyroscope.
The roll gyro prevents the bomb from rolling so that the signals maintain their orientation.
The gyro keeps the bomb in its basic stabilized position.
Right.
It must normally fit into a kind of metal shell. There it is, yes.
The captured film confirms the unique ballistic abilities of the Fritz X.
It would actually, to some degree, overshoot the target, and then the bombardier would actually steer the bomb back down onto the target. And I found that truly fascinating.
Yeah, careful how tight you get it, John. Oh, it's perfect.
Ready?
Also, yeah.
That's the way you want to put it in. Okay.
Flush.
Did you find the right drill now?
The model crew continues to assemble the tail section of the bomb. The special box shape of the tail section was critical for the unique ballistics and destructive power of the Fritz X. Just before the war, Hitler's engineers came up with this completely new design that was almost too fast.
And the metal tubes prevented the bomb getting supersonic speeds, which would have been basically impossible to use the proper way, because it would have probably get through a target and explode deep in the water and without making any damage.
The tubes also functioned as a radio antenna for the bombardier's signal.
Not so much left.
The model team paints their bomb the pale blue of the German Air Force, the color used for the original Fritz X in combat. In less than 2 weeks, the crew also finishes a second replica bomb. They now have a backup in case something goes wrong during their initial test drop, scheduled to happen in just a few days in a remote desert area. Adolf Hitler's megalomania combined with his weakness for giant weaponry. In 1942, he gave orders to construct a heavy tank, codenamed the Mouse. But this mouse weighed about 180 tons. On seeing the prototype, Hitler personally insisted on increasing the gun diameter. Today, on a restricted military zone located southeast of Berlin, we discover the secret manufacturing grounds for the Mouse prototypes. This is the first search for the remains of Hitler's monster tank-making factory. A giant tank must have left giant traces. Finally, the discovery of the original construction hall of the Mouse.